Continuing along with our summer interview series on the Star Mechanical guest line, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. You can check them out online, starmechanical.ca. You can check out this guy on the mound at the AAA level in the Cleveland Guardians organization, Edmonton product, Erik Sabrowski. Erik, appreciate you hopping on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you are. So I did some research here, and I don't know if you know this, but from the website, thebaseballcube.com, which basically aggregates any box score from as long as the majors and minors go back, you are just the 8th player born in Edmonton to ever reach the AAA level. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know.
It is
There's
a
a couple guys from around the area, like Mike Johnson, but other than that, that's only one. So I don't know who the other 6 are.
Yeah, there's a handful of, Albertans and, again, guys who aren't maybe officially listed as, like, born in Edmonton, but you're in a very elite group of ball players from our city who've made it to this level. My claim to fame, were we baseball teammates? We were hockey teammates once, right?
Definitely hockey.
I don't think I was ever good enough to play baseball with you.
In Phantom, I'm not sure. Or
Yeah, we might have
now.
been Bantam first year. We might have been teammates on a team there. But anyways, that's also my claim to fame is that we are teammates. But anyways, you're a diehard Oilers fan. You're pitching at the AAA level right now. I want to know, knowing your love of the Oilers, how did you consume playoff games while you were also doing your job of being a pitcher? Were you like I'm not finding out the score, I'll PVR it and watch when I get home? Were you checking the phone immediately after the game? How'd it work?
First off, it was very stressful. The games are starting, we're in the Eastern time zone here, so games are starting at 8, 9, 10 p.m. I'm, for some reason, I'm addicted to the live content, so I would try and follow the score throughout the game, and then whatever part the game was at when my game was finished, I would flip it on. I think maybe just too many texts of how did that not go in, or I can't believe X scored would have made it tough to restart the game from scratch after my games.
Yeah, I can absolutely never do that. If I'm not like glued to my phone while the game's going on, I feel lost. Were there any other hockey fans on your team, or were there any guys when you were like stressed about the Oilers or whatever that were like raising an eyebrow, being like, "What are you so worried about?"
There was probably 3 or 4 guys actually with a future on the Oilers to win the Cup, so they were riding and dying with me. One of my good buddies is actually a Panthers fan, so that made it tough. But I think there's a few hockey fans, and we would flip the game on in the clubhouse after the game, and just watch it. Whether it was the Oilers or any of the playoffs, playoff hockey is actually pretty big down here, and whether someone has a rooting interest or not, they seem to enjoy it.
Well, you made the jump from AA to AAA. You're obviously in Columbus now, and that is like a really good hockey community as well. I know the Blue Jackets haven't given the local fans at least much to cheer about, but there is a strong hockey culture down in Columbus. It's a good sports town. How have you been enjoying your time up in Columbus?
It's been good. AAA has definitely been a challenge. It's been a really fun year. It's been rewarding, and we're right now in the middle of the season. We're on the All-Star break, so we have a few days off, but we'll be back at it Friday, and looking forward to continuing some momentum that I and the team have had going into the break and finishing strong.
I was chatting with you before and saying like I kind of like to go track your box scores, see how you're pitching, and towards the end of your time in AA, it was kind of like, okay, every time I looked, it was like one and 2/3. You had 3 or 4 strikeouts. Did you kind of feel? Did you start to get itchy? Like, okay, like I'm through this level. Like I'm ready for that next challenge.
Yes and no. I think I got called up on a Thursday. On the Tuesday, our pitching coordinator, so the guy who runs pitching staffs in the minor leagues, he actually called me and told me to be patient and that it would probably be another month or so. So I go from hearing it might be a month when I get called up to the very next night after a game. They told me I'm going up the next day. So it was exciting to get back up here, and I definitely made the most of my time in Double A.
So yeah, that was actually kind of going to be my next question was like, how aware are you of certain timelines? Obviously, I guess like you just said, things can kind of change on a dime there and flip. But like as you were moving through, like even coming into this year, did they outline anything of like, hey, go pitch well for 6-8 weeks there, then we'll look at it? Like how involved are you in that process?
Pretty uninvolved. It's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you don't really uh, have control of. Fortunately, I have a pretty good relationship with the guy who's calling the shots, so I think he felt for me. That's why he, reached out with that phone call. But other than that, it's you don't know anything until you're told.
So for you, again, you're grinding through AAA right now. You mentioned it's been a bit of a challenge. What kind of things and what areas of your game do you feel like you need to sharpen up? What are you maybe still trying to add to the repertoire as you go through this level and try to find more success against, again, a way better group of hitters now?
I think your last point of the way better hitters has been the biggest adjustment and something that I need to continue to work on. When you're in the lower levels of the minors, you never really face guys that have been at a higher level. Like if you're in Double A, you don't really face guys who've been to Triple A in the big leagues. Whereas when you're in Triple A, I think we played Indianapolis last week, and they had their entire starting nine all had at bats in the big leagues. And so those are guys that are, more established hitters. They're older. They have a better idea of what they need to do to succeed, and they're also hungry. They want to get back up to the major leagues because no one wants to spend their entire career in the minors.
Yeah, I had Brad Malone on the show however many weeks ago it was, and he's obviously a guy who grinded through the American League, the ECHL for a long time on the hockey side of things, and we got a chuckle out of you always see the things of like Robinson Cano wearing like a SpongeBob jersey because his rehab appearance just happened to coincide with like a wacky minor league promotion. Have you faced so far this season at AAA like a very famous hitter, a guy who is down on like a rehab stint, and you're kind of like, oh damn, like I'm going toe to toe to this with this guy right now?
I didn't get a chance to face him, but Toledo, Detroit's AAA team, had Javi Baez in the lineup a few times, and it's a guy who's not had as much success recently as he had at the start of his career, but still like being on the same field as a guy that I would watch on TV when I was a kid. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. I would also imagine for you, like you've been at it now for a handful of years, like during spring training, you would face a bunch of guys. Like if you were to go up against Tobias, like are there still jitters for you at this point facing a guy like that? Or have you kind of, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but like gotten a bit of that out of your system now?
Yeah, it might be a bit of a harder response, but you can't let that affect you when you're on the mound. If you're sitting on the mound being like, oh man, this guy has hit X amount of home runs in the big leagues, you're probably beat. It's for me, it's really just a right-handed or a left-handed hitter, and I'm just trying to do my job of getting them out.
Again, we talked off the starter. I mentioned, what a small group of ball players from Edmonton who've been able to make it to the level you're at right now. And, I think sometimes being up here in Northern City, it can be tough to be like, okay, you were obviously talented the entire way, but like being noticed up here, I think can sometimes feel like a bit of a challenge. What's a piece of advice you would give to a kid right now who's maybe in a spot you were 10 years ago coming up through the system and, maybe having some concerns of like, okay, am I going to get noticed? Am I going to get looks from being up in a northern, maybe call it non-traditional baseball market?
Well, with being how far north we are and how short the baseball season is, we get way less at bats, way less innings pitched than guys who grow up in Georgia or places like that. And so I think the best thing you can do is take advantage of your winter, right? It doesn't have to be no baseball activity. There's plenty of facilities around where you can get good work in. You can get faster, you can get stronger, you can take 1,000 swings off a tee and then you're 1,000 swings better. Even if you don't want to go to one of those facilities, there's always something you can do, and just taking advantage of that downtime where unfortunately we're not playing baseball outside like a lot of people are, but there's always something to do.
When was there a moment when you were coming up and I mean, hey, maybe it was minor league ball, maybe it wasn't until you were with the prospects, maybe it wasn't until you were in JUCO where you were like, okay, like I think I can do this. Like I think my stuff is good enough. Was not that you were ever not confident, but was there a moment or a stretch or a season where it kind of flipped for you where you were like, hey, this isn't a stretch for me to be thinking like I can one day be a major league pitcher?
Probably my second year of junior college. That's when the scouts started showing up and sitting behind home plate when I was pitching, and I had some solid success there. And I think just the fact that it wasn't a flash in the pan, it was 5, 6, 7, 8 outings in a row where I was holding my own for sure. That's when I was like, yeah, I definitely have a chance of playing professionally. And then, as a, my idea of being an MLB pitcher, it's kind of never really stopped. That's something I've dreamed about as a kid, and something that I've always thought I was capable of, but I just, had to show it to myself.
It's interesting as well. I mean, we've talked before, but one thing that's been in the news, it was really in the news sort of pre-pandemic, and it's continued to be, but it's kind of the way minor league players are treated at the MILB level. You're a guy who, again, your career started back in 2021, I believe, is when you first pitched professionally. Have you felt the quality of life improve? Have there actually been like substantial changes, or is that just something that gets thrown into the news every 3-4 months and then it gets pushed down and it doesn't come up again?
It's definitely gotten better.
Yeah.
Our pay has increased greatly. The food we eat pre and post game has been a lot better in the last few years, and just there's been more of a emphasis on development, not just being baseball skills from the organization. Like there's language classes we can take. They have financial planning classes, things like that, where it seems like the organizations are a lot more invested in who we are as a person as well as a baseball player, and that's definitely been something that's come up in the last few years.
Are you a goal setter at all? Do you like set dates? Or you're like, I want to be doing this by this point. I want to, have this added to my game by this point. I want to be in the majors by this point. Do you ever kind of have those conversations with yourself?
Yes, but with less hard deadlines.
Okay.
It's just the idea of, you set the goal, and if I, continue the hard work that I put in and continue to succeed, it will happen. But yeah, less hard deadlines.
All right, let's wrap this up with a little bit of hockey talk. Your favorite memory from this last playoff run here? I mean, we're still only a few weeks removed from the heartbreak of Game 7, but is there one moment from that run? Maybe it was a game you actually got to sit down and watch live front to start or something like that. Do you have kind of one memory that really sticks out from the run?
Oh, we beat Dallas in 5, right?
6.
6. Oh shoot, showing
Come on.
my great fandom there. Game
Come
6,
on.
just watching Game 6 coming down the stretch. I was able to find a Canadian feed, so just listening to the announcers. They really let the crowd go. It seems like these American broadcasts, they dumb down the fan noise, but on Sportsnet they let the fan noise really pump in, and just hearing how happy everyone was in that stadium of just, you know, we've goals not finished, but we've made it to the finals.
Yeah, that was man, that was something, especially just again being in the building, seeing the way the city was after it was that would also probably be my top memory as well. And then let's dig back. I've been asking everyone I've had on this interview series here their favorite all-time Oiler, maybe first favorite Oiler, and what's your first ever Oilers memory from when you were a kid?
My favorite Oiler all time is probably Al Shemsky. He was the lone bright spot on some tough teams for a long time. There's the cliches of him going in against the corner against rookie year and getting his ass beat, but still skating away and playing as a skilled player when really he was the only skill, and in a time where that wasn't the norm. So just playing the game that he played, it was fun to watch. It was flashy. It was good, and he's definitely my favorite Oiler. And probably my first moment, you'll have to. I'm not sure what year it was, but we played Dallas in the playoffs in the early 2000s, and I was probably not more than 4 or 5, and I don't remember anything that happened in the game or anything like that. But just being in the arena and the buzz and the excitement of my dad who brought me to the game, and just knowing that something pretty cool was going on. I don't even know if we won or lost at that game, but just the excitement and the energy in there.
Yeah, that's similar to mine too. Like I remember when my old man took me to game 6 in '06, and like I don't remember anything that happened during the game. I just remember the excitement before and the excitement after. I mean, like, whoa, this is crazy. So it's cool that we kind of have a similar story like that. All right. Well, I'll let you go. I really appreciate your time. Bag Milk wanted me to tell you that next time you're in Edmonton, though, he doesn't even want to swing. He just wants to stand in a batter's box and feel what it's like for you to throw and whiz a couple by him.
I think we've been talking about this for a few years, so
I
so
know.
maybe this is the year we'll finally do it.
I think this is the year we'll finally do it. We'll turn it into some good content when you're back in town. But best of luck the rest of the way here with Columbus, and hopefully we get to see a call up at some point. I will be personally very excited for you, and I'm sure everybody watching here would love to see an Edmonton boy pitching in the majors. So good luck the rest of the way, Erik.
Thanks, Ty. Appreciate it.